The Shotdown Mind Files, Episode 6, The Nukes.
The pattern is hard to avoid. UFOs have been making incursions into top security nuclear facilities decade after decade.
To me, it's pretty clear. This is just, we're shining a light on this, we're pointing it out. What are you people doing with nuclear weapons?
Thanks again, everyone, for being with us. Make sure to find us on x.com/shotdownmine, YouTube at the sDm files. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment. We appreciate the support in all the places. We know you know how to do the things. Please get them done. Get them done right now. Do it now. Ufology, all the time. We see these kinds of videos posted. Nuclear missile flying through the air. It's a rocket with a nuclear warhead on it. And a UFO shows up and zaps it. And then it falls out of the sky, etc. Cobb. This is what Palladians and Galactic Federation do for us. We don't hear about any of the evil things they prevent. No matter how bad you think circumstances are, it could always be worse. Without outside assistance, humans would not have survived and there would be no ascension. Remember the 2018 Hawaii missile false alarm? It was a real attack on Hawaii. Galactic Federation intervened to stop it. They're constantly assisting us without interfering in our soul plans. They weaken disasters and pandemics. We never hear about the attacks they prevent. James Fox's The Phenomenon. It's one of my favorite ufology movies. You know, he says it's a full documentary. There's literally hundreds of nukes going off in the ocean. It's actually kind of hard to see on there because how fast, because there's so many. So that nuke map's basically one of my favorite things to go over. Just watch how fast they are. I mean, this is a lot of years, of course, but we only hit, we only dropped 2 on the other mans. Like, who were they nuking? Watch them over in the ocean. We were nuking the fuck out of that place. Couple places, right? I mean, it was a lot of places. It's a big map. It's pretty incredible. I always thought that part of this movie was one of the most incredible parts. Especially since they weren't putting a lot of emphasis on the nukes through the whole movie. But yeah, that was, a bunch of guys, whistleblowers, witnesses, telling Congress, telling the people of the world, of America, something is showing up and checking out the nukes. And these guys are super credible because they got the right stuff. They don't just put anyone in charge of nuclear weapons. They don't just put anyone in charge of shooting the nuclear weapons into the ocean. Look, it's just a couple on the Mans. And we did one test over there, it said. So yeah, now we need like another, what? 2,000 tests. That's crazy. I think that's really significant. So these guys mostly think it's super significant that the aliens or the things, the UFOs, are showing up and checking out the nukes. A lot of the witness testimony around the subject has to do with the nukes being turned off, or the facilities that arm or shoot the nukes being turned off. There's like a long list of cases, UFO cases, alien contact cases that are basically directly related to nuclear facilities, nuclear personnel, and nuclear weapons. Roswell, which is where we started. If World War II is the start of our timeline and the start of ufology, Roswell's one of the first things that we have to talk about. Roswell is Roswell Army Field. They had a bomber group there, and that bomber group was in charge of dropping. It might have been the only bomber group at the time that was in charge of dropping nukes on people. I'm sure all the other really significant and super cool cases of the time, like the Aztec or the White Sands, have to do with nukes too. Even the most recent stuff that everyone's been talking about, including our guy here, Richard Dolan, is the New Jersey drone flap 2024. Basically starts at Thanksgiving and goes to Christmas. We'll see Richard Dolan, we'll see everyone, Greer, Jeremy Corbell, all of them, Lou Elizondo. They're all talking about the drones in 2024 being over sensitive, restricted places like military bases where there's nuclear weapons and nuclear facilities. And then they talk about them all over the world. England, Germany, China. You can get a long list of them. You can get a long list from Richard Dolan. Los Alamos, 1948, fireballs. Richard Dolan starts this citizens hearing with his little speech here about when he starts classifying all the different things that have been seen at over and by nuclear facilities. He starts with green fireballs.
What we know from research and archival work is that from the beginning of the atomic age, there have been good reports, very good reports, of unknown objects with extraordinary capabilities being in the vicinity of our most advanced nuclear facilities. They certainly appear to be interested, if not always tampering, definitely interested. We're fortunate in having obtained a few items of interest through the Freedom of Information Act. It's obvious that much remains beyond our reach, but what we have is definitely of interest. I'm going to describe a few of these cases to you, but first I want to describe an event that is not in a declassified document. It's a written account from a credible witness that really is quite fascinating. This is from a U.S. Navy officer named Byron D. Varner, who wrote a privately published book. It's called Living on the Edge, an American War Hero's Daring Feats as a Navy Fighter Pilot, Civilian Test Pilot, and CIA Mercenary. There's an interesting title for you. The book includes a UFO encounter by another Navy pilot, a man named Roland Powell. Both of these gentlemen were interviewed at length by the then head of the Mutual UFO Network, Mr. Walter Andrus. Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, is the largest civilian UFO organization.
So 1948 green fireballs, and 1950 flying saucers, Los Alamos. 1945 Trinity. Then there's just a list, the Mountain Storm, Air Force Base, Montana. 1967, that's Robert Salas, whose stories all over the place. I think probably in the Greer camp. He's definitely a Greer witness at some point. Warren Air Force Base. I think we got more than one that we could find on that. 1976. Nellis Air Force Base. And so those are just some examples. And a lot of that was basically on the map over here, I've seen a lot of people say that maybe the nukes, I'm kind of saying it kind of looks like we're going after something. Like, this graphic to me really looks like we're going after something. It doesn't seem like we're just like showing off. I guess the idea is that we were showing off, and finding out, right? We're testing. They were actually tests, so they were learning how to make them bigger, better, and whatever. Just, I don't know. Seems like overkill. So I think, as far as ufology goes, that's kind of what you get for the nukes. The significance is that a lot of the data that, especially my man here, Richard Dolan, had used for, discussing UFOs and aliens, is from military people at Air Force bases and nuclear facilities. And they keep a lot of records, especially about, who's there and when and what their job is. But also, these guys, especially security guys and stuff, they would write stuff down about things. So he uses a lot of that data, to tell you about this stuff. So he says there's a lot of accounts. There's a lot of data of UFOs and aliens, flying saucers, and little green men being involved with Air Force bases and nuclear facilities and nukes. On X, people are mostly just, when it comes to these kinds of videos, debunking them. They seem fake, the videos. But what these end up mostly being, in a lot of the discussion you'll see, is that they'll say that they're recreations of what the witnesses said they saw. A lot of the evidence that aliens are here is because aliens are here checking out nukes. And why is it significant that the aliens are interested in nukes? That's what people talk about a lot in ufology. Because nukes can destroy the planet. maybe the nukes being tested or used on the aliens really do fuck up the aliens. Maybe that's why they got here in the first place. They got kind of stranded, or the Trinity test. They accidentally took out some UFOs. In this graphic that I keep playing over and over again is probably that's just what they tell us. Those are just the publicly acknowledged tests, quote unquote. So it's a fun topic. You know, between all the different people in ufology and all the different camps, you could listen to folks in ufology talk about the sightings, the actual events, the witnesses, the witness testimony, and the significance of why the aliens are and the UFOs, even if they're not alien UFOs, are involved or interested in these things for months. You could listen to it for a long, long time. It's a deep topic in ufology. But in the end, that's what it comes down to, is that, yeah, something comes and checks out nukes. And sometimes they even talk about there's been US and like Canadian things to try and use a nuke or a nuclear weapon to kind of bait the aliens to come in so they could get them. Maybe the aliens are worried about humans using nukes and destroying the planet, or the future humans who are the aliens are worried about us humans using the nukes to destroy everything, including them, because they're the future of us. So if we kill ourselves, we kill them, or something. The citizen hearing. It's a cool event that basically Richard Dolan ran. I'm sure a lot of his other friends are involved. Where they kind of had like pretend mock congressional hearings in Congress, or at Congress, or next to Congress, or across the street from Congress, something like that. And the thing that I guess was the biggest feather in their cap at the time, that they used to kind of legitimize what they were doing, and I guess was, worked, was they had a lot of retired congressmen involved and pretending, so they did these hearings, these congressional hearings with retired congressmen. So they asked these ufologist questions. They had a lot of the witnesses there. I don't think they were really calling people whistleblowers much back then. A lot of the, accounts were like that. Someone reading in someone else's witness testimony with no name attached to it. So now it's kind of a different story, right? People just kind of come out and say, look, I'm who I am, and I saw flying saucers and little green men. It does seem like the nukes do something. Whatever the relationship is kind of hard to figure out, but it does seem like maybe when they started using some nukes, that got some flying saucer attention, and then they were surprised a little bit, because they got shot by them, or that's when the upgrade happened from, hydrogen and atomic weaponry to nukes. And it crashed some of them. The way they describe, especially white sands, is it seems like I don't think very much of it was accidents. It seems like the humans, the U.S. government, the Air Force and the Navy, was shooting down UFOs. And then the UFOs stopped coming around so much. There's a lot of Greer camp witnesses who go over, the weaponry and equipment and tracking devices in Antarctica and the moon. So at least that story sounds cool. But they're still coming here for something. They're coming here to eat you. The timelines don't exactly match up between the Greer witnesses and everyone else on the fighting between the government and the aliens, and then the kinship. But like I said, it's kind of a deep subject, the nukes. You can go through. You could probably spend 2 weeks on just the Richard Dolan channel going through 24 nuclear facility related UFO cases. So it's one of the funnest parts and one of the deepest.